everybody, it's Megan Fielder from Algebra Elevated, and today I have another teacher tip for you that involves a little bit of a technology tip as well, so stay tuned. So today I want to talk to you about why and my favorite types of digital resources or digital activities that I still use with my students today, even though we are now back in person and a little bit more return to normal since everything with COVID-19. So with all the resources out there that are amazing on Teachers Pay Teachers and in our own classrooms that we've been using for years, here's 3 reasons why I still use digital activities for my students. Reason number 1, digital activities can auto-grade. So I talk a lot about how I like to save time with my own classroom and my students, and I like to kind of pull back how much time I am spending at home after hours working on my classroom. And one of those big ways I do that is I try to assign as much auto-grading homework as possible. I have a whole video on other ideas for reducing the time that you spend grading that I'll link above, but auto-grading activities are great, and the only way that I have found to really achieve that is through digital activities like Google Sheets or even Google Forms. Those are 2 really great ways. Another reason that I love using digital resources in my classroom is for substitute teaching days. So it's inevitable. I'm not in the classroom all the time, whether that's for the curriculum work I do for my district or for my own personal life. I have substitute teachers from time to time. I have found that digital resources are the best way to keep students engaged while I'm out of the classroom and having them actually work on the material. So I don't put a movie on. I like to keep them engaged with the material even when I'm not in the room. So digital activities are a perfect way to do that. It's also a great way when you have substitute teachers to keep an eye on those students still while you're out of the classroom. Many of the digital activities I assigned give real-time updates on how the students are doing. And when I'm out of the classroom, depending on what I'm doing, I'll check in and make sure that they were able to get into the assignment, that everything was going okay. And then if it's not, I know I can reach out to my secretary and my other classroom teachers so that they can help me navigate through that. The third main reason that I like to use digital activities is because of copies. Now, it might seem silly, but in my district, paper is not necessarily slim resource, but it is something that we kind of have to keep an eye on, especially as the year goes on. So any way I can slide in a digital activity that gives them the same practice or even better practice than a printed worksheet would, I try to do that as much as possible. I save my printed resources for note sheets or testing quizzes because I think there's a lot more value to them writing those things down. But when it comes to practicing, if they can get that same practice or even better practice from an online digital activity, then that's where I'm going to shift and focus my attention. So now that you know a little bit behind why I like to use digital resources in my classroom, I wanted to share my top 3 favorite types of digital resources that my students are loving and that I'm loving at the moment. So resource number 1 is Boom Cards. If you haven't heard about or haven't used Boom Cards yet, I would highly recommend it. They are a digital platform that you can buy pre-made decks of Boom Cards from other teachers, or you can make your own. And the question types are really varied. There's a ton of variety. You can have multiple choice, you can have free response, you can have matching, you can have drag and drop. You can do a ton of different things in Boom Cards, and it gives you immediate feedback. You can randomize the cards, or you can prevent the students from moving forward without getting the right answer. So there's just so many different capabilities, but it's all within one platform. So once your students get the hang of it, then it's really not too difficult to use. The second resource that I really like digitally right now is anything in Google Sheets. But in particular, I love my partner picture activities. So for a couple different reasons. First of all, they work in pairs for these activities, so it gets 2 students talking. Sometimes I group them intentionally, and sometimes I group them randomly, and sometimes I let them pair themselves off. So that's a great piece of it. The second thing I really like about it is that it is that auto grading component like I shared. The student knows right away if they're on the right track. I know at a glance how far they're getting. I can see their progress. And then at the end of it, I can just quickly glance at their work, double check that they got all the answers, and I don't need to spend hours combing through each individual question. The third resource that I'm really liking at the moment is matching activities. So I do have these in card sort form that I've used for years, but I've started to put them into Google Slides or into Boom Cards themselves and have students match activities. So that could be matching a question to their answer, or it can be matching a category of things and more like sorting, but they're basically matching when they sort as well. They're just matching a ton of questions to one category. So those matching activities really seem to help build connections with the math or the concepts that we're working on, while also giving them that immediate feedback, while also helping me spend time grading, and making it in a digital format has been super helpful. So those are my top 3 favorite digital activities at the moment. It's constantly evolving ever since COVID-19. I think our options for digital resources has really changed. Some other things that I really love doing include choice boards and digital scavenger hunts or digital escape rooms. But these 3, my Boom Cards, my partner picture reveals, and matching activities, are kind of what it boils down to every single week. I try to do one of these activities at least every week, and sometimes my week consists of all 3. So they're the ones that I go back to time and time again. And that's because, again, they are auto grading in themselves. The kids have learned the platform, so they're great if I can't be in the room for a sub or even for homework. And then they also don't require any copies. I just have them show their work in their notebook that we have for class, and they're ready to go. The last thing I do want to share is that if you plan on using any of these when you're out of the room, or even for a homework assignment, I really recommend that you try them out during class first. Whether that's for 10 minutes before they finish it for homework, or whether they do a similar activity a week or 2 before you're going to be out of the room, that really can help cut back how many issues you have with the platforms, especially Boom Cards, since that's a new login for them. That one's going to be a little difficult for them to pick up or log into for the first time if you're not with them for that activity. When it comes to Google activities, obviously the directions are usually right at the top, so that's not as big of a hurdle because they're in Google apps all the time, whether that's Slides or Sheets. But again, it's always nice to kind of go through those projects or those activities before they see it for the first time when they're either at home or with a substitute teacher. So that now that I've shared my top 3 favorite digital activities and why I love using them, please comment down below if you have a favorite activity that I didn't mention, or if you have a different motivation for why you use digital activities in your classroom to begin with. Since we have so many more options now than we used to before, it can be kind of overwhelming for us to navigate what's best and for who at what time. So this is where I'm at right now, but it might change in the coming months. So we'll see. Like, subscribe, and share if you found this video helpful, and so that more people can see it. I have some more videos coming up soon about other digital activities that I like to use, as well as some tips for grouping students in your classroom. So stay tuned. And I will talk to you next time.